reward systems. Until a few years ago, the terms compensation and benefits were used commonly, but more recently, these terms have been replaced with rewards and total rewards. A reward system is the set of mechanisms for distributing both tangible and intangible returns as part of an employment relationship. An employee's tangible returns include cash compensation like base pay, cost of living and merit pay, short and long term incentives, and benefits like income protection and tuition reimbursement. In addition, employees also receive intangible or relational returns, which include recognition status, employment security, challenging work, and learning opportunities. Not all types of returns are directly related to the performance management system. Some returns are based on seniority as opposed to performance. Base pay is given to employees in exchange for work performed. The base pay, which is usually inclusive of a range of values, focuses on the position and duties performed rather than an individual's contribution. Base pay is usually the same for all employees performing similar duties. Cost of living or COLA adjustments provide some percentage increases for all employees, usually the same percentage amounts, regardless of their individual performance. COLA are given to combat the effects of inflation and to preserve an employee's buying power. Short-term incentives, sometimes called variable pay, are one-time payments allocated based on past performance. Incentives are not added to the base pay and are only temporary pay adjustments based on the review period. Conversely, long-term incentives attempt to influence future performance over a longer period of time. Typically, they involve stock ownership or options to buy stocks at a pre-established price. This investment is expected to translate into sustained high-level performance. Income protection programs serve as a backup to employees' salaries if they get sick, are disabled, or are no longer able to work. Some countries, like Canada, mandate income protection programs by law. Benefits related to work-life focus on programs that help employees achieve a better balance between work and non-work activities. These include time away from work like vacation time, services to meet specific needs like counseling or financial planning, and flexible work schedules like telecommuting and non-paid time off. Benefits in some countries and organizations include allowances covering housing and transportation. These kinds of allowances are typical for expatriate personnel and are also popular for high-level managers throughout the world. Relational returns are intangible in nature. They include recognition and status, employment security, challenging work, opportunities to learn, and form personal relationships at work. A traditional approach in implementing reward systems is to reward employees by the positions they fill and not necessarily by how they do their work. In other words, employees are rewarded for filling a specific slot in the organizational hierarchy. In such traditional pay systems, one job directly determines pay and indirectly determines benefits and incentives received. In a traditional reward system, each of the positions would have a minimum, midpoint, and maximum base salary. Contingency pay, known as CP, is also called pay for performance, which means that individuals are rewarded based on how well they perform on the job. Organizations are embracing contingency pay plans because performance management systems are more effective when results are directly tied to the reward system. When the performance management system has a direct relationship with the reward system, performance measurement and improvement are taken more seriously. When a CP plan is implemented, organizations need to make clear what is expected of employees, what specific behaviors or results will be rewarded, and how employees can achieve these behaviors and results. Also, high achieving performers are attracted to organizations that reward high level performance and are typically in favor of CP plans. An organization's ability to retain its top performers is critical if it wants to retain top talent. Overall, CP plans enhance employee motivation and accomplish goals that match organizational needs. More specifically, CP plans have the potential to help change people's behavior and improve performance. CP plans can help improve the motivation of employees when each of the following conditions is present. Employees see a clear link between their efforts and the resulting performance. Employees see a clear link between their performance level and the rewards received. Employees value the rewards that are available. There is a multiplicative relationship among these three determinants of motivation, so that motivation equals expectancy times instrumentality times valence. If the expectancy, instrumentality, or valence conditions are not met, the CP plan is not likely to improve performance. In spite of the overall positive impact of CP plans, we should be aware that not all contingency pay plans work as intended. In fact, several recent corporate scandals are directly related to the implementation of CP plans. In general, why is it that CP plans may not succeed in many, such as the case of Wells Fargo, to produce results that are so opposite in terms of what they intended to do? Let's consider the following reasons. A poor performance management system might be in place. When a CP plan is paired with a poorly designed performance management system, biased ratings may cause employees to challenge the plan legally or not to be motivated at all. Rewarding one thing while hoping for another. The system rewards results and behaviors that won't help the organization succeed. Rewards are not consistent or significant. A CP plan that includes rewards that are so small that they don't make a difference between outstanding and poor performance. Managers are not held accountable. When managers are not held accountable regarding the performance evaluation of their employees, they're likely to inflate ratings so that employees receive or set goals that are easily attainable. There's an extrinsic motivation at the expense of intrinsic motivation. When there's too much emphasis on rewards, employees who have jobs that require a great deal of personal investment may start to lose motivation. Rewards for executives are disproportionately large compared to rewards for everyone else. What considerations should be in place when choosing employee incentives? What is the appropriate mix of incentives at the organization, team, and individual levels? A critical issue to consider is organizational culture. An organization's culture is defined by its unwritten rules and procedures. Consider the types of systems that can be implemented in traditional cultures characterized by top-down decision-making, vertical communication, and clearly defined jobs. An effective choice would be a plan that rewards specific and observable measures of performance where that performance is clearly defined and directly linked to pay. By contrast, organizations with involvement cultures are characterized by a shared decision-making model, lateral communication, and loosely defined roles. In addition to the organization's culture, an important consideration in selecting a CP plan is the organization's strategic direction. Strategy is not only a key element in designing the performance management system, it's also a key element in designing a CP plan. Is pay the main motivating factor driving people at work? For most of the 20th century, the belief was that people would go to work to collect a paycheck and money was the main or even the sole motivator. In the 21st century, however, we now recognize that pay's not everything. For most people, money is an important motivator because it supplies many things that fulfills basic needs like food and shelter, to providing higher education for one's children and as a means of retirement. But people seek more than just a paycheck. People want to work in an environment of trust and respect where they can have fun and develop relationships with others and do meaningful and interesting work. People also want to balance their work and home lives. If we define a reward as something that increases the frequency of an employee action, in other words, when we define a reward that's given, we expect it to increase the chances that specific results and behaviors will be repeated or improved. If pay raises are not producing this result because they're not meaningful or they're given arbitrarily, they should not be viewed as rewards. What can organizations do to ensure that actions intended to be rewards are regarded as such? What can we do to make rewards work? Consider the following recommendations. Define and measure performance first, then allocate rewards. Before rewards are allocated, there must be a good performance management system in place that defines performance and performance expectations and measures performance well. Use only rewards that are available. If the organization does not have financial rewards available, then employee expectations should be adjusted accordingly and the focus should be on intangible rewards. Make sure that all employees are eligible. In many organizations, top executives receive benefits such as profit sharing, stock options, travel, and executive life and liability insurance. Make rewards visible. Tangible and intangible rewards should be visible to those who receive them and to others, together with information about what needs to happen for an employee to receive the reward in the future. Make rewards contingent. Rewards should be tied to performance directly and exclusively. Make rewards timely. Rewards should be given sooner after the occurrence of the result or behavior being rewarded. Make rewards reversible. Increasing an employee's base pay creates an annuity for the employee's tenure with the organization. If mistakes are made in the allocation of resources and base salary, especially upward, they are usually irreversible and can be very costly over time. This is why variable pay has become an attractive option for so many organizations. Similar to financial incentives, praise and recognition for a job well done, without a monetary value attached, can be a powerful reward. Many organizations underestimate the value and impact of non-financial rewards. They use the phrase rewards and recognition to mean that rewards are financial, whereas recognition is non-financial and therefore not as meaningful. Performance management systems that are fair and acceptable to employees are also legally sound. A basic principle that guides the design for a fair system is that procedures are standardized and that the same procedures are used with all employees. This is also the basic principle that underlines the implementation of performance management systems that are legally sound. Legislation and court cases in the United States and many other countries around the world include that discriminatory effects of a performance management system can be minimized by applying a golden rule. Treat everyone in exactly the same way, regardless of any differences. This golden rule also applies to international employees, multinational organizations that implement their performance management systems across countries and around the world. In spite of an increased global awareness of legal issues regarding performance management, the golden rule is not applied as often as it should be. There are 6 important concepts that appear in litigation related to performance management systems. Employment at will. In employment at will, the employer or the employee can end the employment relationship at any time. This type of employment relationship gives employers considerable latitude. They could potentially end the employment relationship without documenting any performance problems. There are 2 exceptions regarding an organization's ability to terminate an employee under these circumstances. First, there may be an implied contract derived from conversations with others in the organization or from information found in an employee handbook that employees would be terminated for just cause only. Second, decisions about terminating an employee should consider a potential violation of public policy. In a case decided by the United States District Court for the District of Minnesota, illustrates the employment at will does not mean that employers can terminate employees without proper cause. Negligence. Many organizations outline a performance management system in their employee manual, employment contract, and other documents. When the system is not implemented as described, legal problems can arise. Defamation, which is the disclosure of untrue, unfavorable performance information that damages an employee's reputation. An employee can argue that the organization defamed her if the employer states false and libelous information during a performance evaluation or negligently or intentionally communicates these statements to a third party, such as a potential future employer, thus subjecting the employee to harm and loss of reputation. Misrepresentation. Whereas defamation is about disclosing unfavorable information, misrepresentation is about disclosing untrue favorable performance and thus information causing risk or harm to others. When a past employer provides a glowing recommendation for a former employee who is terminated because of poor performance, that employer is guilty of misrepresentation. Adverse impact, also called unintentional discrimination, occurs when the performance management system has an unintentional impact on members of a protected class, such as sex or race. Illegal discrimination, also called disparate treatment, means that raters assign scores differently to various employees based on factors that are not performance related, such as race, nationality, color, ethnic, or national origin. As a consequence of such ratings, some employees receive more training, feedback, or rewards than others. The majority of legal cases involving performance management systems involve a claim of this disparate treatment. In the past several decades, a few countries have passed laws prohibiting discrimination based on several factors. For example, the following laws have been passed in the United States and are enforced by the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, known as the EEOC. The Equal Pay Act of 1963 prohibits sex discrimination in the payment of wages. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, as amended by the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1972, prohibits discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. The Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967 prohibits discrimination on the basis of age. The Pregnancy Discrimination Act of 1978 makes it illegal to discriminate against a woman because of pregnancy, childbirth, or a medical condition related to pregnancy or childbirth. The Americans with Disabilities Act, known as the ADA of 1990, makes it illegal to discriminate against people with disabilities. Sections 102 and 103 of the Civil Rights Act of 1991, among other things, amends Title VII and the ADA to permit jury trials and compensatory and punitive damages in awards in intentional discrimination cases. The Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act of 2008, known as the GINA, makes it illegal to discriminate against employees because of genetic information. This includes information about an individual's genetic tests and the genetic tests of an individual's family member, as well as information about any disease, disorder, or condition of an individual's family members. Together, these laws aim at forcing organizations to implement performance management systems that are applied consistently to all employees, regardless of demographic characteristics. Although these laws are not enforced to the same degree throughout the world, their collective goal is that performance management systems focus on measuring performance by assessing job-related factors. It is fair to allow employees to participate in the design and implementation of the system because it leads to the design of systems viewed as fair. Fairness and lawfulness do not necessarily go hand in hand, but systems that are fair are less likely to be challenged on legal grounds.